Hey, folks, this is Andrew, the producer of The Liars Club. Jessica, Felicia, and I want to say thank you so much for giving the podcast a listen. It means the world to us. If you could also please go and give us a rate, a subscribe, a review on whatever podcast app you're listening to, be it Spotify, Stitcher, the iTunes podcast app, Laughable. We would really, really appreciate that. Also, we have live episodes coming out, so be on the lookout for that. And we also have another live episode that we're going to be recording February 15th at the Ice House in Pasadena. So be on the lookout for tickets for that pretty soon. And thank you so much.
Welcome to the Liars Club. This is where we take our guests, we tell them to give us the truth, give us a lie, we figure out which is which. I'm Jessica Wellington.
I'm Felicia Michaels.
And you're about to get lied to.
And today we have some really awesome guests. You know what I really love about comedy? You can be in comedy for 2 years, you can be in comedy for 10 years, you can be in comedy for 20 years, and that's where I'll stop. But the awesome thing is the friendships you go in and out of, and the circles that you are in, that sometimes you hit up against another person from another circle, but that it is all one big family in some kind of fucked up circle jerk, right? Am I wrong, Jessica?
You're right. I love a circle jerk.
Yeah. So anyway, what I'm getting
I love dysfunctional families.
Yeah. We all do.
I love incest.
Well, that's weird. Anyways.
This show has something for everybody.
Yeah, there you go. And why I'm even saying that is because our first guest is a gentleman that I've known for a very long time, and it's really a cool thing to see someone that you kind of start out around the same time and to see how they grow as a comedian and as a person. And so I'm very excited to introduce Mr. Tom Rhodes, everybody.
Yay.
He's also from Florida, and he's got the talk, like the real slick, gonna get you out of your panties kind of talk.
Oh, shit.
Is that what you...
We're just going right to
like
it.
Me on stage, or like just the way I talk?
All
in
of the
general?
above.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, you hear that right there?
Yeah, I know. I hear what you're saying.
Well, I know you grew up in Lakeland, and there's not too many suave people in Lakeland. So.
That's true.
Gee, you gave him a compliment and
I love that
insulted
you're
him
from
at the
Lakeland,
same
by the way.
time.
Yeah?
I want you to succeed more than any comedian I know.
Well,
Just
what is
because-
Lakeland like? What is that?
Lakeland, Florida is like, I
It wa-
mean, they've redid my trailer park. It looks nice now.
George Jones had an amusement park there years ago.
Did he really?
Yeah, like in the 80s, and he was on coke, and it wasn't open half the time. But it's like when I grew up in Orlando, Lakeland is perfectly between Orlando and Tampa.
Oh, Jesus.
And Tampa and Orlando were both medium-sized cities. And the Lakeland Civic Center is where all the concerts used to be because they could get people from Orlando and Tampa. So
Right.
I saw Prince on the Purple Rain
In
tour
Lakeland?
at the Lakeland
Really?
Civic Center,
Wow.
1984, and he was so sexy.
Oh, my
And
God.
How many Lakeland bitches did he fuck that night?
I don't think he stayed there. I think everybody went in and out. But I grew up going to concerts in Lakeland, and then Lakeland was the suicide capital per capita.
Oh, I could
of
see that.
America.
Really?
Yeah, there's a really bad, especially
Meth problem there.
meth,
Drug problem.
teenage suicide.
Oh,
It's
wow.
like Florida's really fucked up in general, and then like Lakeland has got a lot of
It's
problems.
the Florida of Florida.
It's the Florida of Florida.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And that voice belongs to a very funny young comedian that I had the pleasure of seeing and meeting. And you know what? First of all, I'm going to say your name because I always fuck it up. I always say Pallavi Gunalan, and I'm always wrong. And can you say it correctly? Because I'm going to fucking butcher it.
Pallavi Gunalan.
Oh, it's Gunalan. Pallavi.
Pallavi
Like
Gunalan.
Pallavi Gunalan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Police. Okay.
I learned that trick like 3 months ago when my friend was like, you should tell them this. And I was like, fuck, I've been going my whole life without that.
Right. And it's a thing where everyone doesn't want to ask, how do you really say your name? What's up? And I'm
No,
like,
I just
fuck, I gotta
avoid
bite the
saying your
bullet.
name. Have
I
you
find
not-
the tricky
Me and
trickier
Jess are
names.
just like, what's up?
Trickier names are easier for me to remember. It's the
Oh, yeah?
Bills and Bobs and Steves that I always have trouble
yeah.
with.
That's why I always
So if you have a
I always
enough.
get last names of white dudes. I'm like, okay, your name's Chris, but what is your full name? Like Pine Evans. Like,
did you-
where are we
Right,
going?
Where did you grow
Right.
up, Pallavi?
I grew up in Utah.
Oh my
You
Lord.
did?
Yeah.
Wow. Where
You guys
in
look like my
Utah?
neighbors.
Where in Utah?
Not me.
I grew up in, so I went to high school in Salt Lake City, but my family still lives in West Jordan. My parents do. So yeah, I just was there over Christmas, visiting my dad.
Oh, nice. Oh, nice. Well, welcome to the show. We're just going to get right to it. By the way, I wanted to tell everyone that Pallavi has I hope I said that right, has a great show called Facial Recognition Comedy.
Yeah.
And it was just at the San Francisco Sketch Fest. And
Yeah.
I implore anybody that's listening to check it out on Twitter and or Facebook.
Yes, thank
There
you.
you go. There you go. And also, you just had a special on Netflix, right?
No, that was a few years ago, and it came down because. Yeah.
I was trying to.
Wait, is that a truth or a lie? What is it?
Yeah. If it's a Netflix original, it's on forever.
Okay.
And if they buy it, there's
limit.
mine was a 3-year contract. So I filmed it 4 years ago. It was on for 3 years, and it came down last year.
Still, what a
But
feat, though, man.
I did just finish editing my brand new album. It's going to come out in the next month.
Okay, great.
It's called Around the World. I've been recording all of my international shows for the last 2 years, and every track is a different city around the world.
Oh, very
So
cool.
it starts in Paris and it ends in Jerusalem. There's no American cities. It's all everywhere in the world.
That's very cool. And the thing is that people in the comedy community know this about Tom. Tom travels the world and has for like the last 20 years doing comedy
And
more
it
than
just
anybody.
cost me
else.
my marriage.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That one's a lie, right? Please tell us it's a lie, please. Someone,
My
that one's a
wife,
lie,
right.
please.
My wife just moved out January 1st, and we filed the divorce papers. And
He's using the drop
Jesus.
your panties voice to let
Yeah,
everybody know he's single now.
Wow. Next time I lift you up, we're just going to allow me to lift you up, okay? Because you're fucking awesome. Anyway, so here at the Liars Club, what we do is we ask, I'm just moving it along. We ask two of our comedy pals to come on and to tell two stories. One is the truth, one is a lie. And then we try to try to figure out which one is the lie. And we're going to rotate around. Don't tell us what story you're going to do first. Anything you would like to add? Jessica, by the way, will ask you questions. So don't get thrown if she asks you questions. And the whole point of this podcast, she gets on it a little bit, is to try to trick us so that you don't want us to figure out which one the lie is. Is that cool?
okay.
Okay.
Tom's gonna crack.
All right, so then you go first. You go first.
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. This is my virginity story.
I like it already. It's got a title.
Yeah.
You're the first person that had a title for their story.
Hello and welcome to my virginity story. He's like the serial podcast voice. Okay, so I was in college. And, oh, you're taking notes. Damn, you got a stenographer. Okay.
He just takes notes when we fuck up.
Oh, okay. I was in
If you want to know the truth.
Keep the stories in my head.
I was in college. It was my boyfriend. I knew he was the one because he kept going like, oh, let me put it in. So
So
I
you
knew it
didn't
was
lose
going
your
to be
virginity
special.
until college.
I did not.
What year? Like
That was my junior year.
junior year in college?
No, you got- wait,
Hi,
she's
excuse
from
me.
Utah.
Wait. Hi,
Junior
I'm
Utah.
Indian and from Utah.
Right.
So,
All right.
and I love my parents. Okay, so you had a question, or
Where did you meet your boyfriend?
it was at my undergrad at Caltech.
So you were in like a class with him?
No, it was just like a small undergrad, so like everybody knew everybody.
Is undergrad a place?
Yeah, it's a place you and I are never going to visit, my friend.
You said you're from Lakeland? Is that my undergraduate school, my bachelor's at Caltech in Pasadena?
Well, where specifically did you meet him? Yeah.
Probably at freshman orientation camp. Like it's only 900 undergrads, so you meet like everybody at once, and you like go through and you visit each house, each dorm, and you like get to know the upperclassmen, and they get to know you, and then you get put into a dorm. You like rank them, and they rank you. It's like a sorting hat type thing.
You get ranked?
Yeah,
That's fucked up.
That's really fucked up.
How do they rank you?
a secrets. That's part of the backstory of it. But yeah. So I met him there.
What's the first date you ever went on?
We don't go on dates in college. we just I don't know. We kept it secret at the beginning because we were both on the same committee. We were both on like this college
Committee?
student body committee. Yeah. I was the vice president of this student
I'm sorry,
body.
but for a minute I thought Jessica was going to say itty bitty teeny committee.
I feel like his titties were bigger than mine. Sorry, Max. Yeah, and then okay. So this is the crazy part of the story is when we started having sex. Like I have this condition called vasovagal syncope, which is a fainting disorder. What did you perk up?
Like, what can this be?
And like my vagina's fine now, but I want everyone to know it's fine. But I couldn't.
Well, fainting, it wasn't induced by your vagina, right?
It's induced by like pain, or like like discomfort or like heat or whatever.
Oh wow.
So
Or friction.
friction. Yeah. So for a while, like we would try to have sex, and then I would just get tunnel vision, and then because when I tried to donate blood, they told me to cough. I would like try to cough during sex. So his dick is inside of me, and I'm just coughing. I'm just like allergic to this man child, and then
I have questions.
yes, okay,
Okay, what is the disorder's name again?
vasovagal syncope.
Vasovagal syncope. And when did you know you had this condition?
So I fainted a lot my sophomore year, and I had to like
In
go-
high school?
in college.
Oh, in
I'd
college?
fainted before, but I didn't realize what it was. And then in college, towards the end, I was like very stressed out and stuff, and was not like drinking water properly, or eating properly and stuff. And so then I fainted a lot. So then I had to go and get like heart tests. And once they like rule out a bunch of things, they're like, oh, you just like have a fainting thing.
Yeah.
So
And it's brought on by pain.
yeah, so I couldn't or dehydration or whatever. So like whenever I go and get blood tests and stuff, like I have to like hydrate a lot and like tell them and like lie down and stuff.
Oh wow!
Yeah.
And I never heard of that. That's interesting.
It's on. There's an episode of Scrubs where he like passes out while shitting. And that's like.
Have you ever passed
No,
out? while
I
shitting?
haven't.
That was the season finale.
But yeah.
Fainting is usually a skinny girl disease.
Yeah, it's very Victorian. I'm like very assimilated into white culture. I think.
On your junior year,
My junior year.
so you'd been trying to have sex for how long with your boyfriend?
I don't know. I think it had been like a few attempts.
And how
before.
long were you guys going out before you actually had?
I know that our whole relationship was like 10 and a half months, and that ended in the summer. So maybe like 4 or 5 months. Probably. Yeah.
Okay.
And then
How did you know he was the one?
he just kept annoying me. Like I was just like, all right, fine. Stick it in, I guess. So I was like, let's do this. And then, yeah, so we tried a few times, and like I was just like, I'm gonna pass out. This is terrible. And then I talked to my friend.
What every man likes to hear. Did he know that? But he knew that you had that.
He like, I was like, this is, I knew at that point that I had that. And so I think I was telling him like, it's too, like, they like hearing it's too much. Like, so that was fine for me to tell him that. It hurts me. It hurts. I can't. It's too much. And so then I talked to my friend, and she was like, just do it fast. Like, don't like make him like enter you slowly.
Like a Band-Aid.
Yeah. Yeah. Just rip that hymen off real quick. And then yeah, so then we tried one time, and then like like he finished, and it was fine for me or whatever.
Did you faint?
No, like he once we took her advice, I didn't pass out. And I can have sex now, fine, guys. Just want everyone to know I can have sex fine, and it's still tight. But so then we finished, and then he like pulls out, and then he was like, "Oh no!" And I was like, "What?" And he was like, "The condom rolled down," and I wasn't on birth control, and I was just like, "Oh fuck!" Like I can't be a single mom, because I knew I wasn't going to be in a relationship with him. So I was like freaking out.
Right.
But
because how do you explain that? Your junior year in college, the first time you ever had sex and you got pregnant.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound good.
Yeah, it's not a fun.
How do like regular women prepare to lose their virginity? Like as far as the setup, do you like put down
5 beers in the forest? That's my
But
thing.
I mean, how do you? Because mine was all fucked up. We talked about it not long ago.
Isn't everybody's like it's not?
Yeah,
Good.
like if you're really planning for it, though, do you put down like a tarp?
The forest bed is gentle enough, Jessica.
Did you lose your virginity in the
I
forest?
did in Colorado. And
This is my virginity tarp. This is my tarp for the car.
my virginity.
Try not to mix them up.
That's a good episode title, My Virginity Tarp.
I know some cultures they fuck through one, but we just lay this one right down.
Well, actually, I went on a kegger when I think I was 16. I was the last of my girlfriends to lose my virginity because where I lived, everyone got the fucking in. And it was at a kegger, and it was with a boy that was like 2 years, like probably 17 and a half or something like that. And we went to the woods, and he pushed me down. We had sex. He was really cute, though. And in his defense,
He pushed me down.
I don't know if I had sex with him or a stick on the forest ground. You know what I mean? It's one of those. Yeah. And Tom's like, what the fuck am I getting myself into?
What was your virginity story now that we're here?
Yeah. Let's hear it.
My virginity story actually is really sweet and wholesome. I had my high school sweetheart. I had been dating for like a year, and she was a year older than me. And there was nothing cheap about it. I was completely in love with this woman, and it was quick, but it was sweet. And then she broke up with me like a year later, and I was devastated.
Okay.
So, anyway.
All of the stories are going to end with, she left me.
Yeah.
Everything today is going to be like, and then she left. My stewardess asked for my drink, and then she left
enough.
me.
You youngins don't know how
I started
it
to realize
feels.
recently that I've been left more times than pizza crust.
Yeah,
But where were you in a bedroom when you lost your virginity?
Yeah, where was your tarp?
Yeah, it was your.
Yeah.
Where was it?
It was in a bedroom. Yeah.
Okay.
I bet it was on clean sheets.
Save my tarp to pass it down to my children.
Okay, that's an awesome story. So,
The end of that story
Okay.
is that I was freaked out. I waited till 6 a.m. I went to the health center on campus, and then they put me in a room because I want to get Plan B. They put me in a room, and then they were asking me all these questions. This like nice old lady was asking me all these questions, and then she was like, "How long have you been sexually active?" And I had to look at my phone. I was like, "How long ago? How many hours has it been?" She was like, "What?" Yeah.
Wow. But you didn't have a baby.
I didn't have a baby.
Wow.
What happened to the guy?
I don't care. I don't know. I think he's actually still at Caltech. This is so bad. I said his name earlier. It's fine.
So how long
doing
did
a
you guys go out
grad
after that?
After that, too long. I think I think that was in like January, and we broke up in like June or something.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow, that's a first strong story.
That is it is. It's good.
That's a good one.
How old are you?
I'm 29, almost 30.
And how is Max still at?
He's doing grad
School.
school. He like had a couple
That's
years
how long
off.
it takes.
He's in PhD program at Caltech.
You can make it.
Shut up. I'm in a PhD program right now. It takes a while, okay? Don't ask. Just in there getting that health care.
That is so funny because we both don't know how the whole. I know my kids, my son, especially my younger one, got in a really good school, and I'm like, "Fuck, dude, I don't know what to do. Like, you got to figure it out."
Yeah.
Because
I did some
didn't
University
grow
of
up that
Phoenix
way.
classes online.
All right, so great story, and now we're going to move it over to Tom.
Oh, I thought she did two back to back. Oh,
No,
so
no,
they
no,
come to
we're
me.
rotating
Okay,
it around.
All right. Well, you ready?
I'm ready.
All right.
You ready, Tom?
So I started being a stand-up comedian when I was 17.
Okay.
And I went on the road when I was 18. And I played all over the United States. You know, this is, mid-'80s, late 80s, whatever it
Right.
was. And there were clubs everywhere. So I was the MC. I was a young comedian, just trying to figure things out. And
You used to have long hair, didn't you?
no, this was before long hair.
Okay.
But he did
This
have
was
long hair.
yeah.
I was, I looked like collegiate,
You look like
Young
you went to
man.
undergrad.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And at the time, I mean, I just drank. I didn't even smoked pot at the time, and very clean-cut guy. And exploring the world, I would drive anywhere in America for $150 to MC for a week. So I played in Des Moines, Iowa.
When you were 18?
I'm
18,
like 19.
Okay.
And the club was in the parking lot of a hotel. And, in the 80s, the comedy boom was happening, and, clubs were sold out everywhere. And the guy who was headlining that week stunk. He was terrible. He was beyond a hack. And
Did you ever meet him after that? Ever see his name around?
never saw the man ever again.
Really?
And,
wow. Really? All right, we can move on. You're uncomfortable.
Okay, we can end the story there.
No.
No, you gotta.
So this guy was really struggling.
Okay.
And I remember doing great, and I had no material and no life experience, and
Right.
just the audience was a complete cakewalk. So you really had to work hard to suck in front of these audiences. And this guy was really struggling. I remember I think the feature act was blowing him away every night. I was the MC.
Right.
So it was October. It was in Des Moines, Iowa, and I remember it was October because everything was the fall leaves and everything, and so to go back to the our hotels after the show, we're walking through the parking lot of the hotel, and I remember it was October because it must have been like a homecoming thing happening. There was this big group of high school kids
In Iowa.
Okay. And they're all in the parking lot drinking, and they were dressed up. So I think they were, it was after their homecoming. They were looking
Right.
for a place to drink or something. And
Parking lot checks out. That's where we would hang out.
yeah, and this was a perfect spot for
Yeah.
it. And
Drinking tarp.
Well, because nothing was open, so you just hang out at the Roses parking lot or whatever.
yeah, and
Or the forest.
You sound like a forest, like fairy.
Yeah. We're in the forest.
she lost her virginity.
Push you down. It's magical.
She lost her virginity in Hobbiton. So the guy, he was struggling. He was pissed. He wasn't a pleasant fellow.
How old was he?
I'd say late 30s, maybe
Oh, shit.
40.
Was he a white guy?
White guy.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
I think we all were picturing that.
Yeah. Beer belly.
Yeah.
So, no, he didn't have a beer belly, but
Can you give us initials?
I'll tell you his full name.
Do it.
Oh, shit.
At the end of the story.
Okay.
I owe the man nothing. And so there were all these kids. I think this was after the Saturday, so he had sucked 2 nights in a row. He's
Right.
pissed.
4 shows.
Yeah. And we're walking back. I didn't know the guy. He wasn't that friendly to me. We just happened to be walking back together at the same time. So this is Iowa. There's maybe 2 black guys in this whole group, and these are children. And this is Iowa. These are really clean-cut, wholesome American kids. They weren't, city urban guys. This is Iowa.
Yeah.
He has words with one of these black kids, and it was like he provoked it. And
The headliner provoked it.
the headliner. He's pissed. He's angry over his shows. Kids are having a good time. We're walking through the group. I don't know if he bumped into him. I wasn't paying attention. All of a sudden now he's having words with one of these young, clean-cut, wholesome black men from Des Moines, Iowa. And he starts saying, "Yeah, really?" And he goes to his car. He had a Lincoln Continental. I'll never forget it. He opens the door, and he reaches under his front driver's seat, and he pulls out a gun, and he brings it back, and he's pointing it. It's the most disgusting thing I've ever seen in my life as a comedian. And he's like, "Yeah, N-word this, N-word
Are you
that."
serious?
Yes, 100%. And
What did the N word stand for?
Oh,
narcoleptic. So it was.
Story doesn't check out.
It was one of the most disgusting racial things I've ever seen in
Yeah.
my life. And
Did you say anything?
I'm backing away.
You're in shock.
I don't know this fucking guy. I'm in shock, and I might have thrown in a "come on, man." You know, this ain't cool. I don't really remember. And I hadn't thought about this story in a long time, and I was thinking about stories today, and so it was really fucked up. And then from nowhere, some white kid who was friend. Obviously, they were all a tight group of friends.
Right, he probably had a shotgun right in his truck.
There was probably
That was
20
stupid.
or 30 of them. This kid comes running out of nowhere and takes this huge running jump, and I can see him floating through the sky, and he comes down and he punches the guy on his jaw, and he goes down and drops his gun.
And on Sunday, you got bumped up to middle.
All 30 of these kids jumped on this guy and beat the living shit out of him. And I didn't do anything then either. I stood in the back. I mean, and like I remember even like the women like pulling off their high heels and kind of hitting him with it.
I've seen a fight like that. I had to call the
like,
cops. This girl was hitting a guy with her heel on the head.
Everyone was so angry with this guy, rightfully, and he was a hate-filled racist, and they beat the living shit out of him. And then,
And these are like country white boys, not city white boys.
but these were
There's,
really
like,
clean cut.
corn-fed-
These were clean cut people.
Yeah, but I'm sure they
These
weren't
were-
super tiny either.
No, they were big. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
It didn't work for Andrew, but
So then you can hear sirens in the distance, and then all the kids scattered, and they all ran, and then the cops come, and his face, he had lost a couple of teeth, he's bleeding, his face was mangled.
Jesus.
And then while he's telling the story to the cops, some other cop called in, or whatever however it worked with the radio, and some cop coming up, and they had caught the kids. They were driving the car, and they shot the gun into a cornfield as they were driving. So some cop pulled them over. So now everybody gets taken downtown, Des Moines.
You too?
And I went
'Cause you're the witness.
Well, and I wanted to tell the story.
Right.
And so, and he's telling this guy's telling the cops he was mugged, and these kids. It's a whole different version of what really happened, and that they'd started it, and they robbed him, and they took his gun and shit. So we go down, and we're downtown at the jailhouse, and here's these two black kids come in, and they're looking worried, but they just apple pie American kids, man. So this guy tells this whole story about it was a complete lie, and then I got to talk to the cops, and I told them what really happened. That this guy had struggled all week as the comedian, and he sucked, and he wrongly, picked a fight with these kids, and then he went to his car and got a gun and was pointing it in their face and yelling N-word, and that these kids were completely innocent. And I told the cops, I said, I don't know this guy. I don't know him anything. And then that was it.
It's so funny
But the end of the story, he was from Phoenix, Arizona. He went back to Phoenix, Arizona, and he told the comedy club that he worked at that he had been robbed and mugged by these street thugs or whatever, however he told the story. They had a benefit for him at the comedy club in Phoenix and raised thousands of dollars for him to get his teeth fixed.
Wow. I have two questions. I'm very sorry, but what kind of car were you driving?
I had a brown Nissan Stanza.
Stanza?
Yeah, they don't even make them anymore.
Like Costanza?
It was called the Stanza. It was like it was one of the greatest road cars of all time.
Well,
I drove
that's
that car.
my question.
It got like 32 to the gallon.
That's
never even heard
exactly
that.
my questions, because you said he had a caddy. What kind
No,
of
no, he had a Lincoln
Continental.
Continental.
Yeah.
Continental? But what kind of headlining road guy is driving a gas guzzler all across the country?
Well, in
when
the
I first worked
80s,
with
they
Ron
didn't have much
Schock,
option.
gas wasn't that expensive, and a lot of people had big cars. And when I worked with Ron Schock in one-nighters in Michigan.
Oh.
He had a Lincoln Continental.
He did?
Yeah. And he had drove in there from Texas or something.
Oh, wow. Ron Schock, one of the greatest comics of all time.
Yeah, but back then they didn't worry about gas prices like we do now because they were low. I remember getting gas for 99 cents.
For some reason,
All right, Jessica.
For some reason, I think you should be whittling when you say that.
Wow, two very, very strong stories.
This is how I lost my comedy store virginity.
Wow.
Hold on, no, you mean on stage or like actually had sex with somebody at the comedy store or from
In
the comedy store?
bathroom.
You had how? What? What? Are you serious? Which bathroom?
The main room ladies one with the
The-
beer stalls. The ones that are way better than any of the other bathrooms.
The ghost
The one they're
bathroom?
redoing.
Yeah.
They're doing that now.
Oh,
Yeah.
right now.
You know that bathroom's haunted, right?
Yeah, but it's pussy. It wasn't successful. It was in like
You're bad at sex.
I know. Oh my God. And I'll never have sex again.
Wow.
I didn't have the tarp to initiate it.
Okay.
But,
was it another comedian?
Yeah.
Oh, no.
I don't come here. I know.
You fuck comedians off property. Off property.
I can't help it. I'm horny, Felicia.
I might be cutting that out of the podcast. Anyway.
Yeah.
And it's weird that it should be that I think about cutting out of the podcast, but not
That's
fucking
so funny.
Virginity Tarp or anything else.
Yeah. So it was. Yeah. It was a. I would say it was a fucking sideways movement. But it was in. Yeah. I was in that bathroom. I was drunk. And we were both kind of drunk. And then we had been like flirting before at like different mics and stuff. And then I've never done this before, but I just kind of gave him the head nod in the main room. And then we just walked into the and it was like later at night. So like there weren't that many people around. And when we were in there.
Can you do me a favor? You see that camera right there, that iPhone camera?
Yeah.
Can you look at it and do like the head nod, like what that is? No.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, what? We want to read your signal.
I know a raised eyebrow is the international language of let's get it on, but what's the head nod?
I'm Indian. It's all about head nod.
What
I don't
is
know.
it?
I can't do it.
Yes, you can. Yes, you can.
I was like, I don't know. It was something like that. It was something small. And then I just turned and I went into the bathroom and I like kind of like left the door open a little bit, like for a second to see if he would like get it. And then we just like went into the stall and we were making out. And at one point someone came in and used the bathroom. And then it took everything in me to not be like, can you spare a square? Like while they were in there. But like we just kind of like stopped and it wasn't like full on. It was like,
Ew.
I know, because I was
You
grossed
had
out.
sex in the pooping bathroom? That's where everyone goes to poo.
I know, because it's got space, but it's also
I know.
the fucking bathroom. And then we didn't like, it was like making out, like fingering and stuff. And it wasn't like, we didn't like finish everything because I was grossed out especially after that person came in. So that I was just like, nah, we can like deal with this later. And then we like hooked up one other time. And then I was just like, I'm done.
Wow.
Yeah.
Comedy has changed.
Yeah. I guess. I don't
Because
know.
when I first
He
was
wasn't writing new material and progressing, and then you cut it off.
Yeah, I was like, I gotta.
Dude, I saw you do the same set the last 3
Yeah.
times. So I'm going to have to break this off.
You talking about like when we were fucking, or he was using the same
you
moves?
said you broke it off eventually.
Yeah.
No, comedy definitely has changed because when I was here at the Comedy Stars, made a regular, I think in 1985. God, I'm so fucking old.
You were made a regular in 85? When
Yeah,
did
I
you
was
start? What year
21.
did you start?
I was 21, probably in 83.
Oh, you've been doing it longer than me. Wow.
Yeah. And you couldn't let on that you were having sex with anybody.
You can't now either. But I think like people,
We're all like, then why'd you tell that story?
but because like I think there are a lot of women who are like like we'll be at mics. The other day I was at a mic and one of my friends was like kind of hinting at someone she was seeing, and I'm like, is that a comic? And she's like, yeah. And I'm like, oh, so we all still fuck comics. We're just mad about it and quiet about it still. And she's like, yeah. So you just have to like be pissed off that like your options are comedians and then never tell other women, and then you all feel shame about it.
Right.
That's like, it's the same thing, but I think we're getting kind of tired of it.
You know, people go, oh, I don't want to date another comedian. But it's like you spend most of your life with other comedians, and those are the people you love and respect the most. So why is that so?
And it's hard to find like people as funny just in regular conversation.
That's the thing. Fucking somebody whose act you don't respect. That's a different story.
Guys do that all the time.
They have no problem with
guys
it.
don't give a fuck if you're funny. I'm like I'll see a hot guy, he'll get on stage and I'll be like, shut it down. It's just like it's not a turn on, but
interesting. And then going on a date with a regular guy, it's like, so I was doing these computer Excel sheets.
Dude, you have no idea. I went on a date and then I went to an open mic and I laughed so hard at the open mic and I was like, what the fuck is wrong with me? Like, I can't see this guy again because I laughed way harder.
So we definitely can't know his name, huh?
No.
We'll find out after the show. Well, that's pretty, now I'm going to question if that's a true story or a lie, because I don't think someone would personally come on and just say that, especially if it was something so...
brazen.
It's a lie.
No, if it was something, it's all cute and funny. If there's distance.
Do we vote at the end?
But that,
I mean, it was in April and nobody could prove it. So,
right. Interesting.
Whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, I've caught people having sex here.
Any of the comics?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
And it wasn't.
Have you really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Any of the girl comics?
I don't know who the girl was. No.
So no girl comics.
No.
Oh, wow.
It was only once.
Yeah. Yeah.
So.
Whew. All right, so we're moving on to Tom's second story. Tom, what you got?
Okay, so I lived in San Francisco for 7 years in the 90s, and...
That's true.
This is... does the whole story have to be a lie?
No. But
I'm kidding.
The crux of the story has to be a lie.
Yes. So I forget what year this was, 1993, 1994, somewhere in that area. And the Punchline used to have a sister club in Walnut Creek.
Oh, I used to love that.
That was a great room.
That was such a great room.
And I was playing there with Greg Proops. I think maybe he was headlining and I was the feature act. I don't remember what the scenario was, but Greg was the main guy. And Greg had been playing in England a lot. And somehow...
I wanted to interrupt to tell you I had been going through my things and I found a poster from the Punchline, and it had like 15 pictures, of all the comics that had been there that year, and then it had everyone's name around it of, like all the middles and openers.
Yeah.
But the 15 pictures are like Patton Oswalt, like everybody. And your picture, Tom.
I'm on there.
All the big comics and you.
No, but at the time,
the thing about
that was a big honor at the time.
The thing about that period was somewhere around 93, 94, the San Francisco Guardian had wrote this story how stand-up comedy was dead in San Francisco, and there was nothing worth writing about, and that they even declared in this article that they were going to no longer run the comedy listings in the back of the Guardian. Like, they had two free weeklies. One's the SF Weekly, and then the other one was The Guardian. And on the back pages, it had like the concerts, bands that were playing, and then comedians. And they stopped running it. And I remember the cover of I Saved It. Mm-hmm. It was like a cartoon of like a hacky comic with a tie, and it says, "Take my shtick, please." And so the whole article was how comedy was dead in San Francisco. At that time, in 1993, 94, it was Greg Proops, Patton Oswalt, Mark Maron, Margaret Cho, Laurie Kilmartin.
San Francisco, Johnny Steele.
Dana Gould was around then. Just like absolute legends in American comedy when this article was written.
Warren Thomas,
hilarious people. Yeah. Too bad people don't remember Warren. Yeah. So Greg had spent a lot of time in England, and he was somehow made friends with Emma Thompson.
Oh, wow.
And Emma Thompson was in the actress. Dame Edna, she's been knighted by the Queen of England.
Oh,
so
like
she's Dame
Paul McCartney.
Yeah. And then if you're a woman, you're a dame. instead of a sir. So Emma Thompson was in San Francisco doing this movie, this terrible Arnold Schwarzenegger movie where he has twins, or his twin is Danny DeVito.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think that it's called twins. Yeah.
She was in that movie?
She was in that movie. And she was in San Francisco filming it. And she had come
Funny if that was a lie. She just wasn't in that movie.
You can pull out your phone if you
No,
want.
we're not allowed to. We're not allowed to
If
Google.
you want to look up
yeah,
that.
we're not allowed to Google.
All right.
So funny.
So she was at the show in Walnut Creek with her mother, who somehow works closely with her. She's close with her mother or whatever. And after the show, we talked, and then she invited us back to her hotel suite. At,
Whoa! Did she Louis you?
The Intercontinental. It was the Intercontinental Hotel in San Francisco. Ultra swank, ultra.
And you with that long ass hair. of
Then I
yours?
had the long.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Then I had the long hair, and I was
pretty
skinny and
long-ass hair.
sexy,
Yeah.
and so we went back there and we drank, and it was Greg Proops and his wife Jennifer, and we all hung out for hours, and it was really cool. And then her mother went to bed, and then Greg Proops and his wife eventually left.
She didn't have a virginity tarp, did she?
She did not have a virginity.
So you knew it was all go.
I made out with Emma Thompson for a couple hours after that.
Wow.
That means you're part of the royal family for sure,
I'm
right?
sure I could,
By association.
I'm sure I could meet the Queen through Emma if I wanted.
Wow.
We name dropping tonight.
Wow. Interesting.
Well, I mean, just because all your stories involved.
I'm a female
Just 'cause you're
comic.
going
I don't have
sideways
any
and
World
not
War
up.
II jokes. I just have sex jokes.
Wow. So that's the story you made. And so what was she a good kisser?
She was a good kisser, actually. Yeah.
And how long was her hair?
It was kind of not a bob.
Don't laugh, Andrew.
It was a
These
good
are
question.
serious
But no,
questions.
it was a little above the shoulders. It wasn't a bob, but it was a little past a bob.
Did she play like the scientist, or did she?
She saw. I don't. It's been so long since.
I thought it was role playing.
It's been so long since I've seen that movie. I don't remember what her role was.
When did what was you like? At what point did you leave? Like, what prompted you to leave?
I had a girlfriend.
Oh no!
Oh no!
You're such a good guy with that.
You still made out with her.
Yeah. Jessica.
Thank you for not raw dogging Emma Thompson while you had a girlfriend. I guess.
You're welcome.
What a great dude!
I'm the
That's
hero
the
in
end
all
of-
my stories.
The end of the episode.
Wow. Wow. You guys had some good stories.
Did you get her number?
Yeah. Did you ever communicate with her again?
No.
Did you ever so you said to her, I cannot go any further as I have a beloved. How did you just were like, okay, I'm out. How do you stop kissing
I
on?
said, basically, I can't do this. I got to go. So that was it.
You said you can't do it. You got to go.
Yeah.
Did you ever tell your girlfriend about it?
No.
This is how she finds out.
Okay. Well,
wow. We got
that's
we
a
got
good
a game going on here, Jessica. Got a game. Thoughts?
well,
Are you calling us thoughts or?
Oh yeah, I just learned that.
Oh, that hoe over there.
Thoughts and thought. There's thought. There's thoughts, and then there's thoughts.
THOT.
Yeah, there's thoughts, and thought.
Jesus, Jessica. I
It's
don't know
two
what the
different
fuck is
things.
going on,
It sounds
but
the same. It's the
I'll
same.
believe
It's
it.
It's slang. It's slang.
Okay. I'll look on Urban Dictionary later. So, do you have any questions?
Well,
Or is it questions and questions?
I mean, obviously, I would rather the second one be true for Tom.
Yeah, because here's my question with it. Like, so she wasn't a known actress at that time.
She was.
She was already
in an Arnold Schwarzenegger.
She was in
movie
Arnold Schwarzenegger
in the
movie.
90s.
She
Yeah,
was.
but I mean, that's the one you're saying. But
No,
at
no.
that, if she was filming it at that time, what had she been?
And she
in?
was married too to Richard. What's his name?
was it
Who she divorced shortly thereafter.
All right.
was it
And then,
post or pre?
and then I remember, like a year later, they got divorced. I thought, oh, okay, now it all makes sense.
was it post?
It was just you making out with her.
I don't think she was married then to that.
She
dude.
was married
Kenneth
then to
Branagh?
Richard Branagh. That's it.
No, Kenneth Branagh.
Kenneth Branagh,
Yeah.
that's his name.
I don't think they were married.
They were
then.
married.
I
They were married, and they got divorced about a year later. Yeah.
No, that was like years later. I think you might be right. Anyway,
Was it post or pre knighthood?
Pre.
Damedom.
Pre knighthood.
Yeah.
so you knew she was.
Damedom?
She's not going to get knighted for twins. Emma, darling, I saw that Danny DeVito film
That's
you were
the-
in, and
that's
I
the
wanted
best
to bestow our nation's
cut down I've
greatest
ever
honor
heard
on you.
anyone give Jessica. Anyway, so but here's my question. At the time she was filming Twins, she wasn't already a known commodity as an
She
actress.
was pretty known then. She had been she had done some things before that.
Like what?
Because that was like a big comedy vehicle, which wasn't, that was like a let's make money movie. That wasn't like I don't.
But that was
no
one of
was
her
doing
first
that for.
ones. Like what movies was she in before that? Because I remember her.
I forgot an important detail about the story. So we go back to the Intercontinental, and at the bar
Intercontinental.
in the hotel, Swank City.
Okay.
At the bar at the hotel lounge, Arnold Schwarzenegger was sitting there with like 10 crustaceans. And they're all smoking cigars. You
But
could
that's
still
enough
smoke.
of the Kennedys.
You could still smoke indoors back
Okay.
then in California, and all 10 guys who were sitting there smoking cigars with him all had the exact same Hawaiian shirt on as him. It was pretty pathetic. Yeah,
Crustaceans.
Did you have the same Hawaiian shirt on?
not me. No.
Wow.
What city was that again? You said
San Francisco.
San Francisco.
Well, I think we should start asking Tom some serious questions and get down to which one is the lie.
Okay, what about Pallavi?
Well,
We're
No, we're gonna work our way.
You're
yeah.
happy with the Virgin
Yeah.
Tarp facts?
I want to
We're
say
gonna
Medical
ask her
facts, I
after
can't.
this. Yeah.
All right.
I want to say the first story might be not true because he wasn't quite clear. But things get foggy. You were how old back then?
19.
19.
He said 18 at the time.
No.
no, he
I
said-
started when I was 17. I went on the road when I was 18. The story happened when I was 19. Said all that very clearly.
Yeah. I was.
I'm an idiot.
No, you're not
I
an
kind
idiot.
of think the second story. I think that you did meet Emma Thompson, but I don't think you fucking were making out. Well, I don't think you guys were macking on each other.
I'm with Felicia on this one.
I think you probably had a lovely conversation when Greg Proops was there with his wife, but I don't think you guys were fucking.
Have you seen Tom's tan?
His what?
Tan.
Tan?
Yeah.
What do you mean his tan?
His tan.
I had a tan a week ago. I got back from Mexico. I think
Yeah.
it's faded now.
And?
Women are attracted to that.
Hey.
Dude, I fucking knew Tom when he looked like
What's happening?
I knew Tom when he looked like a member of Soundgarden. Okay, you have to fucking sell me on that shit. But I'm not saying that, but I'm just saying I don't think that story is true because I don't think he's a gentleman. I don't think he would out someone like that.
Emma Thompson.
Yeah,
Out her.
if it was true. And
But she's not like in the comedy community. It's not like where he would be outing a fellow comic.
well, you know what? Steve Martin and I had anal, right? Do I go around telling that story?
He really is a wild and crazy guy.
I'm just saying that's not true, and I would say it if it wasn't true. But I don't think Tom would say that he, made out. I think he's too much of a gentleman.
Gentleman?
I think so. Maybe. I think so. I'm gonna go with that. Fuck it, because I know you're a deep feeler. That's why you're a little bit, you know what I mean, twisting everything a little because you're fucking heartbroken. So, and I think you wouldn't. I don't think you would fuck up like that, right?
My
It's
wife's
true.
Indian, by the way.
Kind of, sorta. I'm just saying. So, what do you think, Jessica?
I think he made out with her.
Do you think that? So, you think the first story is the lie?
Yeah, I think the first story is the lie.
The story about the headliner with the gun.
Yeah, the racist headliner.
Oh my God, that story is so fucking true.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think that it
It's
probably
always the racist headliner.
it happened sometime with someone somewhere that year. I'm sure
In Iowa.
In Iowa,
That's been happening a
Yeah.
lot. But it just wasn't this one.
I don't think. Yeah, I don't think so.
Really, even with the story about going back home to Phoenix and having the benefit to fix his teeth. That's a genius little tag if that's not true.
Yeah. I mean, that was definitely a great add-on, but he was also driving like a Stan Lee car.
A stanza?
Yeah, I don't even.
Okay.
So much.
Do you have any questions you would like to ask Tom? Because you're allowed to. And which one do you think is the lie?
Just gonna be like, yeah, Tom, what that math do? No. What was the experience with her like? Like, was she a good kisser?
Did she smell good?
Yeah,
she was a
she was a
good
Did she
kisser.
smell good? Did you
She
feel like
smelled really good.
chemistry?
Yeah, it was
the
like
chemistry
making
was
out with
on?
a rich lady.
Did she?
And what is that?
Great
What is
descriptors.
Yeah, can you
They smell
describe
good.
that?
They smell really nice.
Okay, rich lady smell nice.
Clean panties. The elastic is attached.
Well, Jessica, you're out.
She don't wear no panties.
All right, so which one do you think the?
I think he didn't make out with Emma.
he didn't.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, I think
He
Andrew.
was
What
squirming
is
more
your?
during
What
that
is
story.
I think that the first one is true and the second one is the lie.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think that maybe they met, but the makeout part is possibly.
Well, maybe I think Tom's got a big old dick.
What is that?
I know. We're moving along, Jessica. We're not here to sexually harass Tom. Okay.
I'm going to start Me Too in this show.
I know. So, Tom, which one is the truth?
Okay, we're ready for the reveal now?
yeah, yeah.
Okay. You completely nailed it.
Yeah.
You totally nailed it.
I'm getting good at this.
I've been
You are.
struggling all day with trying to think of a lie
Uh-huh.
and a story, and I was thinking, fuck, what can I tell? So the first story is 100% true. Hadn't thought of it in a long time, so I think I stumbled a couple times when I was telling the story. The Emma Thompson story is completely true up to the fact of kissing her. We had a wonderful evening. She's a brilliant human being. Her mother is twice as brilliant, and I really liked that she was close with her mother. And at the time, I was living with the French woman Natalie.
You're right.
And I was completely in love with my girlfriend, and I wouldn't have cheated on her. So I was, for some reason, that story popped into my head 10 minutes ago, and I thought, "Fuck, I'll go
That
with
was
this."
a good one. That
And
was
you
a good
totally
one.
nailed it. Everything was true except for the making out part.
Right.
She was such a wonderful person, and I've cheered for her whole career. So
Wow. Because I did remember, and I had been in your apartment in San
and I've
Francisco.
never used Heinz ketchup.
Okay. And
Oh, you've been inside Tom's apartment in San Francisco?
Yeah,
Yeah, San Francisco,
it was a
yeah.
great place, and you had your girlfriend and she was quite. All the ladies that you have fallen in love with, I've always been beautiful and really cool chicks and interesting, fascinating women.
Yeah, Natalie and I'm still really good friends with
Oh,
her, and I'm
nice,
still
nice.
very good friends with my Indian wife that I'm breaking up with. So.
That's a cute way of putting it.
No, it is. We still love each other. We care about each other. And an old gay friend of mine told me that's how 80% of my gay friends' relationships end. Where there's no animosity, there's no hard feelings. We just split the money, and there's no ugly divorce lawyers or anything like that. But Natalie, who I'm still very good friends with, the French woman that I lived with, that apartment was the top floor of an old Victorian
Such a great
home
apartment. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
overlooking
It was sick.
Alamo Square Park.
Yeah, it was so
nice.
sick.
4
yeah.
bedrooms. And
There's an Alamo in California?
Alamo Square Park.
And you
So
know what
we-
I remember
forget,
about that apartment
Jess.
is you had that dinette table.
Never
you had
forget
one of
it.
those old vintage
it was like a hardtop
Yeah, yeah.
convertible roof. was
laminate
the,
table or of
Wait,
some
Yeah.
sort.
I have a question. So when you went back to her place and hung out with her and her mom?
Yeah.
And so no moves were ever made by her or anything? It was
No.
just you just talked? Okay.
No, we just talked and hung out all
Oh,
night.
okay.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah, it was really nice. She's a super person, and but Natalie, that apartment that I lived in, so we broke up in like '96. She bought that apartment in 1997 for $350,000,
Jesus
and I think it's worth $4 or $5 million now.
Good for her. Good for her.
She's one of the happiest people I know,
Right. Good for her. I love those kind
and
of
she,
stories.
and she rents it out.
Yeah, good for
to,
her. Such a smart
tech
decision.
Tech
yeah.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah, good for her. All right, so we're moving on, and now.
Da-na-na-na.
Okay.
Well,
Can
good. You can
know,
ask question.
Okay.
Yes.
The second story I think was a lie.
And
I
why?
believe the virginity tarp. Totally believe that.
Even involved in my story.
Totally believe the virginity story. And then I think just because and I was worried about this with my own stories because the flow of the words coming out of your mouth were just more natural on the first story. And then the second story, there were a few pauses, there was a few stumbles, and I thought,
I know, but she was admitting to
was
let some
admitting
guy
to
finger her
in the
But I
fucking
don't think-
ghost
I don't-
bathroom
I
of the
don't-
comedy
I think
store.
If a true story, had you fucked another comedian in the comedy store, you would not tell.
Ah,
and
I
here's
agree.
the thing that was mentioned in that story. I've had several relationships with female comedians, but you would never know. I've never said a word about it.
Yeah, we keep
And
it
I think-
really
I
hush-hush.
think that,
Yeah.
and it'd be the way this business is, and people gossiping and shit, and especially you care about somebody and you have a beautiful experience with them. I would never, ever in a million years say what female comedians.
But I didn't say the name.
But I mean, I
Noted.
was just married
Tom.
I was just with my relationship for 10 years. So
Because it's always
so-
scandalous when comedians
always-
get together.
or
Even
someone
like
makes it-
Bonnie
yeah.
McFarlane or Rich Voss. Like in the beginning, everyone was like, Bonnie and Rich? What?
Yeah,
And
but
now, of
it's
course,
scandalous
it makes,
even if it's not.
right.
Just because
It makes
comedians
complete
talk too much
sense.
shit and
right.
everything.
But comedians are like little fucking baby bitches.
But I like how
we don't say
comedians protect
names.
each
Like,
other
we'll,
if they
like-
do have a relationship with each
Yeah.
other.
We don't like we will say that like amongst friends we'll be like, yeah, I hooked up with someone. They're like, is it a comedian? And then you like either lie or you don't, depending on like the level of friendship you have.
Right.
But you don't. I never say names unless it's like a safety issue for women.
But that's why I think the second story is a lie, because I think if you really did have sex with a comedian, especially at the
wasn't
comedy
full
store,
sex.
you would never
Well-
tell the story.
He did finger you in the ghost bathroom
Yeah.
while someone came and tinkled.
Yeah,
Did they tinkle?
I'm just saying.
yeah, they're very drunk.
So I think the second story is also the lie, because I don't think you would have remembered that fainting disease name.
Yeah, there was too many good details in the first story
Do
too.
you know I'm a biomedical engineer?
Oh, really?
Yeah,
and she might have that disease.
Oh, yeah.
But
No,
was it called again?
vasovagal syncope.
One more time.
Vasovagal. Vaso means veins.
Does that
Bagel.
come in poppy seed and sesame?
Yeah,
Is that an indica or a
available.
sativa?
it's a hybrid.
Sorry. Well, that makes me think. Wow, in a fucked up way, because when I became a comedian here, I did date secretly one comic. And I'm not fucking ever saying the name. And
Nor should you.
You can say it, but you don't say the
yeah.
name.
But no, he would love it. If I said it, he'd take an ad out on Facebook. He would love it.
Steve Martin with the anal.
But right, but you couldn't say anything. So in one way, I do kind of wish your second story was true, because I fucking love the younger generation of women comics. They give no fucks. So on one hand, I do wish that story is true about you having sex with a guy that you were sideways fucking the same level as you, but then you're a biomedical engineer student, and I can't imagine that you would fuck to the side or fuck down. I say you would fuck up. So I'm going to say that story is a lie. And the
You
first
make
story
good
about losing
points.
your virginity. Yeah.
but she is a comic.
yes, true, yeah.
When you,
I
I
forgot.
need to give you like my dating history because you will not respect me after.
No, I respect you. Yeah.
No, I
Yeah.
mean in terms of fucking down, like the
Yeah, don't fuck down anymore. Fuck up.
they trick me.
Please, please.
Yeah. I've been to the bathroom here a lot at the Comedy Store.
Interesting.
Yeah.
By the way, I'd rather go into that bathroom with a guy
Was
and
this
get
old
fucked than go in there by
wallpaper or
myself.
new
It's so
wallpaper?
scary in that
There was no
bathroom.
wallpaper
Well,
in there.
yeah,
it was
'cause-
the shiny red door, the new, I don't know.
You're talking about the one with only 2 stalls?
Yeah.
Oh, they're not redoing that one. This is the one with just
Oh,
it's
is there
bigger
the other
stalls.
The one with 2 stalls
Yeah.
that people walk
Like the
by?
ramp. Yeah.
That's where you did it at? I
Yeah.
thought it was the one in the way back. That's
No,
really
no, no.
big.
I've
That's
never
the
been there.
haunted one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. The one right there when you take a pee and people can smell if you had asparagus. That's how close it is to the general public, and you had sex in that bathroom?
Sex. It didn't last that long.
Did you lock the door? You didn't lock the door. 'cause
can't
somebody
lock-
came in.
can you lock that
But
door?
I've had people lock that door, and I'm like, "Fuck! I need to get in there." And they're like doing something. People definitely do coke in that bathroom
For sure.
And I mean, I know it's happened. I don't know if it was you. I've walked in on people doing stuff, and I'm almost positive they were doing stuff in the stall next to me, and then it makes it funner to go to the bathroom. But
Once they throw that tarp down,
yeah.
you know it's going down.
So what do you think, Jessica?
So I'm gonna go out on a limb again, and I'm gonna say she got fingered at the Comedy Store.
Can y'all make that trend? That's gonna be the name of my first album.
Fingered at the Comedy Store.
Fingered at the Comedy Store.
Andrew, what are your thoughts?
I'm going to go with you two. I think that the second story is the lie. I feel like it may have happened to a friend, and you're just co-opting
But now
the
when I
story.
think about the timeline, I remember you coming around kind of around that time is when I first started seeing you at the Comedy Store in the back. And that's how I first remember you, because I was like, look at her go back here in the back where we're all doing naughty things. You know what
Yeah.
I'm talking about. So timing-wise, it does kind of make sense, but I'm going to stick with my story.
Orgy
and say,
Thursdays.
Yeah. Why do you think it's hard to get a ticket here on Thursday?
All right, so I'm going to say also that the first story is true about being a virgin until you were in junior in college, and the second story is a lie. And Tom is with me, and Jessica's against me.
Yeah, I think
and-
she just learned that word or something recently. The fainting word. I think she just learned that or something, and she's like, "Oh, I'll
Like
use
toilet
this. This
paper
will
word
seem
of the
like
What
day.
word was that, Jessica?
Vilkoskoski." Oh, a syncope.
Rhymes with bagel.
Syncope.
All right,
Thank you.
all right, so what's the lie?
Man, I didn't fuck in the bathroom.
I know.
My friend fucked in the bathroom. I walked in and I saw these boots, and it was.
So it's
Some
two
dude-
comics having sex?
I don't know if the girl was a comic, but I saw those boots, and then later I saw them outside, and I was like, "Dude, did you fuck in the bathroom just now?" And he was like, "Yeah."
Wow.
But I will admit that I have fucked comics.
Right.
That's
I will.
perfectly
I'm not.
fine.
I'm not
Yeah,
doing
that's
it at
fine.
the
Yeah.
Comedy Store.
But it's a place
Oh
of
yeah,
business.
you guys keep judging.
I don't even. I don't even get drunk here. I'm like, this is work. Like, I'm
Yeah.
not gonna do that shit if it's something I care about.
Right. That's what I thought too. Well, wow, you guys were awesome.
Damn it, I'm
contestants.
really
And
losing
now
it.
what we're gonna do is Jessica is gonna decide who's the best liar.
Yeah, y'all should have thought of that before you tricked me.
Well, but Jessica believed both of our lies. Too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so this makes this even harder to pick a winner. God dang it. I guess, if that first one had been a lie and you would have made up that word and all
I should
that,
have just done that. I do that shit.
then I would have been more impressed. Not that it
Shut
wasn't
the
impressive.
fuck up. You were like every other word. You're like, what's that fancy word? What's that? What's that? What? So please. I know. What does it rhyme with ketchup?
Well,
It does a
that's
fancy word. I don't like it. I don't like it.
That's what makes it more impressive when you make up your own,
Right. Okay. True.
you know? I'm going to go with Tom.
Oh, goddamn. I knew
sorry.
you'd pick it.
Wow.
First of all, he
Been on his
smells
dick
really
this
nice
whole
today.
time.
I'm just going to me too him all the way out.
Jesus, Jessica.
He smells really nice. He's wearing a nice cardigan with a nice
What
collar.
does that have to
He
do
needs
with
to win.
being the best fucking liar?
He's tan.
Bitch, I'm tan. I'm way more tan than
But
him.
he went out of his way to get tan.
I don't mind sharing this honor.
You guys were awesome guests. Where can people find you, Tom?
TomRhodes.net and @_Tom Rhodes on Instagram, and I could care less about Twitter, so don't even bother.
But you're also on All Things Comedy with your podcast.
Oh yeah, I have a podcast. It's called Tom Rhodes Radio Smart Camp. And,
Right. And what is the name of the comedy CD you have coming out? Or
the album is called Around the World.
Very nice. Thank you so much for taking time.
Yeah, and I'm
out
actually
here.
writing a companion book to go along with it.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So
Nice.
So he's
my
inviting
kind of
you.
the Tom Rhodes travel guide to the world,
Oh, very
Oh.
nice. Perfect.
and my personal story.
I say
with
definitely
Felicia
check out your
and
Instagram because it's really cool. All the places that you go to. Yeah.
how many
really
followers
awesome.
do you have on Instagram?
only 6,500.
That's pretty good, dude.
not bad. I'm happy
yeah,
with
that's
it.
good.
Yeah.
Good for you. And what about yourself?
Okay, everybody get out a pencil and paper. It's all my name, which is Pallavi Gunalan. That's PALLAVIGUNALAN. That's my website, my Instagram, my Twitter, my Facebook.
Great, wonderful. And you have your show.
We have facial recognition comedy on the second Sunday of every month at Westside Comedy Theater at 9 p.m. And then we also have a facial recognition comedy podcast. So,
Nice.
yeah.
And where can people find that?
Facialrecognitioncomedy.com.
Wonderful. Thank you guys so much. You can follow me all across the board at Felicia Michaels.
Follow me everywhere at one Andrew Rose.
I'm at Jess Wellington 2 on everything, and you've been lied to.